Mondello. It's Christopher Juliano. 11-3 here for each player as we get ready for game number 1.
Yeah, so in this situation, the first order of business for Christopher is he needs to disrupt something on Jake's hand. So if Jake even gets a turn 2 Summer Bloom and just spits out, 5 mana sources, that's already a danger. So Chris would like to get any sort of bloom out of Jake's hand if Jake has one.
Ancient Stirrings off a Gemstone Mine. It's going to bring the mine down to 2 mining counters. Amulet of Vigor is the find. Raging Ravine is where Juliano's going to start. So we're going to head back Mondello's way, and we have seen turn 2 kills with this deck in the past, and Jake actually already has Summer Bloom in hand. I suppose the question now is, does he have a payoff card, and does he have one of those Ravnica bounce lands?
Yeah, so he has Amulet of Vigor. He does have Summer Bloom and Azusa, Lost but Seeking, so has a ton of mana. However, I do not believe he has the bounce land. The deck plays 10 bounce lands overall. 9 of them are green. So he should be okay. Actually, even if he gets the Boros Garrison, any bounce land will work here. So he has 10 cards he's drawing to.
Fair enough. Here's a Bloodstained Mire. Juliano going to sacrifice that, fall down to 19. We'll see what land he does want to search up. This is not standard. This is modern, even though he's going to search for a basic. I'm shocked.
Yeah. Now, if Jake doesn't have a second Amulet of Vigor, it's probably not correct to expose the Amulet to removal. One thing is that paying an extra mana on your combo turn is unfortunate, but he actually would have an extra land here. You see it gets tagged by Abrupt Decay. So that is a bit of a misstep. You see now he drew Simic Growth Chamber.
Well, here's a Summer Bloom. It's time to do what this deck does, which is cheat lands on the battlefield. So this is the first of 4 land drops, correct?
Yeah, but here's the danger. So he kept a combo hand. That would have been great with Bloom and Amulet. But he actually didn't have too many regular lands. You see, he gets to make 2 extra land drops, but doesn't even have a third. He's at 5 mana, but has no 6th mana. So a card like Azusa, which you're kind of into a lot of the time, it doesn't actually do anything. You don't have lands to play.
Well, now here's the Thoughtseize.
And this is a danger. It's going to take one of Mondello's payoff cards.
Yeah, he's got a Primeval Titan, a Summoner's Pact, and a Azusa. So in reality, he's got 2 copies of Primeval Titan in his hand. I imagine you take the real Titan as opposed to the Summoner's Pact?
The Summoner's Pact's just getting Titan. Might as well take the real one.
Okay.
But one more discard spell. If Chris can get that Summoner's Pact before Mondello finds that 6th land, this is a way that John can steal game 1.
Well, there's a Dark Confidant. Maybe that'll find the discard spell. Mondello will draw a card. It's a copy of Azusa.
It's the 2nd copy of a pretty dead draw here. And I'm worried on Jake's side. Dark Confidant is pretty powerful here. It helps you get into more discard and can really lock this out.
Well, unfortunately for Juliano, he did not trigger the Dark Confidant. He just drew his card for the turn, which was a copy of Terminate.
It's a big misstep for him. You see, he notices it right now.
Yep. And so what happens here is if you miss the Dark Confidant trigger, the opponent gets to decide if it goes on the stack or not, and I think Jake's going to say no.
I certainly wouldn't. Now, on the other side, Chris does get to get Liliana into play. This card is actually okay in this situation if he can wear down Jake's hand. So Chris drew Terminate that turn, which means if Jake pacts for a Titan, plays a Titan, Christopher can terminate the Titan and then start plussing a Liliana while Jake's busy paying for the Pact. And if things line up right, Chris could get all of Jake's hand. So maybe like Jake tutors up a 2nd Titan, but never finds a chance to play it before it's discarded.
Mondello's draw for the turn did not get a great look. We know one of the cards in his hand is a copy of Summoner's Pact. The other card right now is a mystery. Azusa Lost but Seeking out on the battlefield here for Mondello. The lands are Mana Confluence, a Gemstone Mine, a Slayer Stronghold, and a Simic Growth Chamber. The draw was a copy of Boros Garrison, so how does that work its way into things?
Okay, so this actually is going to be good enough because of the Azusa that's in play. So he has 5 mana of lands available, and then because he has an extra land drop, he gets to bounce one of his untapped lands and replay it. So you see he's floating 1, and now he has 5 mana untapped available, so he can go for Primeval Titan this turn.
Okay. But he can't do anything crazy with it, like give it haste with Slayer Stronghold, correct?
No, so he has a Slayer Stronghold and Boros Garrison in play, which actually is probably a good thing, as much as anything else. He has 1 land drop remaining. So the cards he can get here, he can get a Colony Garden that'll give him some extra insurance against Liliana. You'd really hate it if Chris just, say, terminates an Azusa, -2's the Liliana. That's no good. So he may get that. At the same time, there's pressure on him to get Teleria West. His hand's pretty empty right now.
A lot of options here for Jake. Remember, he's also going to have to pay the Pact on the upkeep next turn as well, so his mana is going to be a little bottlenecked. He's considered a Colony Garden right now, which can make that 0-1 plant for a little bit of Liliana protection, along with a Simic Growth Chamber at this point.
I do really like this. So What this will do is if he got, say, Teleria West Simic Growth Chamber, well, Christopher would just plus the Liliana, get his last card. Remember, he has 1 land drop remaining off Azusa. So if he gets Colony Guard in bounce land, he actually can make a second plant. It may just be better to get Teleria West Colony Garden and leave the Teleria West in play and say, okay, later on I'm going to find a bounce land to pick it up and immediately transmute.
Okay.
So it's like you have the Titan in your, but it's not in your hand where Jake can get it. The Titan would be in your land pile, so it's like hiding from the removal spells.
Got it. Plant token on the way.
Yeah, 2 of them. So you went for the line where he gets double plants.
Okay. Now give him a lot of protection against Liliana, making him sacrifice the Primeval Titan. Now again, keep in mind, don't want to forget that he does have to pay for the Summoner's Pack next turn. That's on Jake to remember, by the way.
Right, so he's set. He's decided to play around Liliana and kind of be weak to terminate.
Scavenging Ooze is the reveal here from Dark Confidant for Juliano. Now he'll draw a card for the turn. Picked up a Verdant Catacombs. That's a terminate on Primeval Titan.
That's what Jake didn't want to see here. Now he is playing off the top of his deck. And that's going back where I was saying maybe you want the Teleria West in play. It means you have 1 fewer plant, but it does mean that if he draws a bounce land, he could have immediately transmuted and tightened.
Now we'll see how he wants to use the Liliana, because that's the one thing that Juliano's not to use this turn. Keep in mind for Christopher, he's got no cards in his hand right now as well. So he's going to take a look at Jake's graveyard. I'd be surprised if he wants to go down on the Liliana. Going up doesn't do much, though, because neither player has a card in hand. But not activating it at all is a little suspicious, I would say.
It is. And remember, now this sounds really dorky, but Jake can actually use Slayer Stronghold Boros Garrison to start hitting Liliana with plants and Azusas. He could swing all the 0-1s at Liliana and then pump the unblocked one.
Yep. Jake is going to pay for the pack. Now he'll take a draw step here. A lot of good draws available. And Jake is going to give Azusa +2/+0 Vigilance and Haste.
Yeah, so she's a 3/2. That will get it past the Scavenging Ooze at least to this turn.
The Verdant Catacomb is going to be sacrificed here by Christopher. And that's a forest.
Yeah, it looks like he may just trade the Ooze with the Azusa. It's all kind of hit or miss if you want to do that. Azusa is the kind of card that she's very important to the turn you play her and is pretty unimportant after that. By killing the Azusa, you're not dealing damage to the Bloom player. All the lands are on the board already.
Well, Christopher, the option's on you if you want to block or not. So I think it's unclear at this point. Trying to weigh things about how much Azusa will do moving forward, and it does not appear to do much. So Juliano's going to take that damage, going to untap here, and take a draw step.
So the swing was at Juliano instead of it being at Liliana, which means that if he top decks a Titan and gives it 2/0 Vigilance and Haste, the trample may be enough to just come across for the last 6.
Yep. Verdant Catacombs, Lilianaville. That's the grip here for Christopher. Liliana's going to go up to 5. Both players will discard. There goes the Verdant Catacombs.
Summer Bloom for Jake was the card.
Got it. And now it looks like Raging Ravine is going to get fired up. Going to come into the red zone here with Christopher.
Now, looks like he's offering a trade of Dark Confidant for Azusa. And I do like it. You have to be careful with that Slayer Stronghold and these plants. It is not trivial that Jake could just find 6 points of damage.
Yeah, you can whittle them down. And, you've also got Dark Confidant on the other side of the table here if you're Mondello. That can certainly help your efforts as well. No guarantee, of course, but we have seen when playing against Dark Confidant, you can rely on Bob Maher to finish the opponent off.
Exactly. And I like this line from Jake. He just takes the full 6.
Jake going to draw a card here.
He can force 2 damage in with Slayer's Stronghold next turn. It's a start.
Yep, he's going to target Azusa yet again. I think this time Scavenging Ooze probably has to jump in front, yeah.
Yeah, and that was interesting. The other line he can take is he could just swing both plants and pump the unblocked one. If he's trying to make Dark Confidant seal the deal, that's probably the way to go with it.
Inquisition of Kozilek, the reveal. For Cavernous Souls, Giant was the name. Cavern doesn't play a big role in this matchup. So.
No, Cavern's not particularly good here. In fact, it'll be one of the cards Jake will board out. It's interesting when you talk about land counts in the deck because some of the lands actually are just taking the role of spells. So you think about this as Cavern as a spell in the deck, and you say, okay, this isn't a spell that's good in the matchup.
Standard open players, that is time. Active player, finish your turn.
Raging Ravine, Dark Confidant, they're going to come across. So this is an attack here for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mondello would fall down to 4. I think it's time to rely on Dark Confidant to get some work done. Now, Jake does have the ability to draw Primeval Titan and win this turn, I believe.
Yes, he does. Even a Teleria West would be enough. He has enough mana to transmute and just cast it all in one swoop.
But I think if you're Mondello here, it's just fire up the Slayer Stronghold on the plant token.
I mean, it depends on his draw.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think he should be happy to get 2 damage in here. It's more than I expected he would.
Yeah. It feels like a fingers crossed approach to me, and I don't think much gets done by attacking Liliana. I think you might just have to cross your fingers and hope that a 3 comes off the top of the deck.
Yeah, going at Christopher. I mean, there are Lilianas in here. Most of them are in play. There's a Tasigur.
There's Kolaghan's Command, Maelstrom Pulse. Jund does have 3 mana spells. And I just don't understand. To me, he's attacking down Liliana. I just don't understand what really that gets done. You know, if you're controlling that.
I don't see it. Yeah, his draw was Simic Growth Chamber. That doesn't add up on my side.
I'm just going to pass the turn back. Dark Confidant's going to trigger. Tasigur is really the only card that can win the game right now.
Right.
And that's a Kolaghan's Command.
That would have done it. That would have done it.
Had he attacked Christopher.
Yeah, and you can see on it, you can see there his reaction. He knows.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what attacking Liliana accomplishes, that's all.
It stops her from edicting away the plant. If Jake was planning, I think if he's looking at this saying, I need 1 more turn, I think here's what he's doing. He was saying, I need this plant token in play so that I can have 1 more turn of chump blocks to get to Primeval Titan. If that's what he's thinking, then hitting Liliana to 1 does accomplish that. Now, there's a lot of ifs there, right? You have to assume that Chris has no removal spells. It's dicey.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing against Jund. It's a deck full of removal spells.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I think the right play is to go at his life total. And, you know, there are a couple spots, losing that Amulet of Vigor early really cost him, where I think Jake maybe could have gotten some leverage.
Either way, Christopher Juliano's going to win game number 1 here over Jake Mondello. Jund is up a game here over Amulet Bloom, which means we'll take a look at the sideboards here. Mondello going to be on the play at 2 Leyline of Sanctity, a Nature's Claim, 2 Seal of Primordium, 2 Fire Spout, a Hornet Queen, a Thragtusk, an Obstinate Baloth, an Engineered Explosives, 2 Swan Song, a Ghost Quarter, and a Forest.
All right, so the board plan here from Amulet is they become much more of a mid-range deck. I mean, one of the staple cards in the sideboard of Amulet Bloom right now, and really for the last year, has been Hornet Queen. The idea that he can Hive Mind Pact out Jund is not so good here. Jund does a pretty good job of picking your hand apart, so getting 2 cards combos are hard. Also, they can pay for green pacts. So what he's going to do instead is he's going to board out a lot of the Hive Mind combo, if not all of it, maybe even some of the blue pacts, go for Thragtusk, Obstinate Baloth, Hornet Queen. Hornet Queen really is the trump here. Put all those in, and then have 2 Leyline of Sanctities that could do some work in situations where he's getting discard spells.
And there's other things here for Juliano. He's got a Thragtusk, an Ancient Grudge, and Golgari Charm, and Olivia Voldaren, 2 Painful Truths, a Feed the Clans, an Outpost Siege of Shatterstorm, 2 Kitchen Finks to Anger the Gods, an Engineering Explosives, and a Duress. The question is, what cards, if you're playing Amulet Bloom, are you scared of from Jund?
Well, the card I'm most scared of is Fulminator Mage, and it's not in his 75. I was a little surprised to see that here. What I've seen a lot of players go to out of Jund to beat Amulet Bloom out of the board is a combination of Fulminator Mages and Kolaghan's Commands. You LD them, you make them discard, you buy back Fulminator, you LD them, you grind them out that way. So Christopher has none of this. He's devoted his cards to other matchups. So looking at what he has here, Duress is okay. Duress takes care of Summer Bloom. And Olivia Voldaren is not terrible. She can, when he gets to those board states where he's really gotten control of the board but is worried about a top-decked Titan, 7 mana plus Olivia gives him some insurance there. And I know that doesn't sound good, but it exists. I think boarding an Ancient Grudge is actually a trap. I don't actually want that. I mean, there are some losers in his deck, so maybe it comes in, but killing Amulet of Vigor is not where you want to be. The actual other card I like here is Outpost Siege. I'll probably board that in. You saw Dark Confidant do a lot of work there, and I could see Outpost Siege doing a poor man's Dark Confidant impression.
Well, these two players will shuffle up here for game number 2. We will talk about the regional championships taking place later next year. Go starcitygames.com/regionals for more information about this. This is a playmat that'll be given away, free and exclusive playmat and token to the first 200 players that do attend on February 6, 2016 for our modern regional championships. And keep in mind, one of the few ways that you can actually qualify for the Players Championship next year and get those SCG points, of course, Opens, Classics, and Regionals. So there you do see the payout for SCG points cash and the qualification to an invitational. Go at starcitygames.com/regionals for more information. February 6, 2016, plant your flag at your local regionals as we get ready here for game number 2 between Jund and Amulet Bloom.
Yeah, so this one, lots of times I was saying that the Sideboard games were going to look very different. Based on their configurations, it'll be, I think, more similar than we're used to seeing, like a repeat of game 1. So I would still say Jake is a favorite here. I don't know if he's a favorite to get both of them.
Getting both Sideboard games seems pretty tough.
Yeah, well, the Hornet Queen goes a long way. And on Chris Juliano's deck list, he doesn't have a Damnation. You know, he does not have ways to answer Hornet Queen once it's in play. He trades 5 creatures with it, usually.
Yeah, that was the thing that we saw with Justin Cohen at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, so that was one of the innovations that Sam and Justin came up with at a Pro Tour a year ago, the addition of Hornet Queen to the sideboard. And I would say it's probably been the most relevant addition to the deck in the last year.
Yeah, you saw Hornet Queen, you saw Sigarda, you saw Thragtusk, you saw just this creature plan against the black-green decks, and they had some real difficulty with answering those big green creatures, but we don't see it as much anymore, I would say.
Yeah, we don't see it too much. Hornet Queen is still a mainstay. Sigarda, something that I started playing about 6 months ago. It is meant to be a trump for the Jund matchup if you're skimping on other sort of hate for these decks. They really actually just can't kill the card, but it's weak elsewhere. Yeah, but the idea of going to this creature-based strategy has really been interesting. Sometimes you even see Wormcoil Engine as something you can Ancient Stirrings for.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen for a little while as well. Both players going to take a look at their openers. Juliano did mulligan to 6, so we'll see if he's happy with these 6. Top card's going to go to the bottom. We're underway here. Mondello's going to play a copy, I believe, of Radiant Fountain. That means an Amulet's on the way, past the turn back. Mondello's hand is a thing of beauty. He's got Summer Bloom, and he has the bounce land, so it might be time to go absolutely nuts here.
Well, I don't know if he has the creature or the pact.
Yeah, the question, of course, is does he have the payoff?
Yeah, and at this point, because if he has a possible turn 2, and this is like where the deck is really difficult, right? It's correct to play the Amulet here because you want to protect it from Thoughtseize. Worry on the draw, he would actually want to hold back on the Amulet.
Okay.
So little things, but important things.
It's time to do some equations.
I mean, if he has Bounce Land, Bloom, Titan,
well, that makes
this is pretty academic.
Yeah.
He does have an Azusa as well as a Summer Bloom, which means if he wants, he can go ahead, instead of having 6 mana, or rather 7 mana available this turn, he'll have 8 mana available. If you sneak an Azusa into the middle, it's +1.
Trigger from Amulet's going to untap the bounce land. Of course, the bounce land trigger needs to pick up a land.
Yep.
So now there's Azusa.
Right, so 0 mana floating here. He has 2 land drops remaining.
Here's one of them. Trigger, untap. Trigger, untap. Pick up Radiant Fountain. So, there's 2 blue, 2 green floating right now.
Right. And the reason it may be important to do that is if he blooms here and doesn't have the pact, what he could do is he could bloom, floating double blue, play Radiant Fountain, and then transmute a Teleria West with all the blue he had created.
Well, what he did there is he just had 2 blue, 2 green, and then just passed the turn back. So here's a copy of Bloodstained Mire.
Yeah. Well, that's really confusing. If he was not going to try to combo that turn, he probably just wanted to replay that Radiant Fountain instead of playing, and he had mana in his mana pool that just went away. He didn't actually accelerate any.
The lines of play with this deck are very, very difficult.
Yeah, so now he's going to be back in the same situation.
Yeah, so this turn he's going to search up Summoner's Pact. Summoner's Pact going to go find a Titan. I think that there's... I don't think there's mana.
I think he just killed himself. Yeah. He already played a land this turn. He needed to bloom before doing that.
Oh, dear.
And that's really unfortunate. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That sucks.
Oh, no.
I've done this on camera. I've been here. There is no way out of this. And I wish for him that there was. Had he done this in the order he wanted to, he could play Summer Bloom. That would get him up. And even then, he's actually 1 mana short because he didn't play the Fountain last turn. So even the line he was going for, Bloom, make mana, transmute Titan, he's actually 1 short for that as well.
Christopher Juliano going to win this match over Jake Mondello, 2-0. Jund is going to take care of Amulet Bloom.